Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Show, recruiting edition. You probably know it as the Shrimp Freaking Pond. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, senior recruiting editor for Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member of that site, man, you still got a chance to get it for $1, practically free, man. Cole will loan you $1. Jhead might do the same. But all the great content, recruiting content we've got, team content, analysis, insight, videos, we've got it all, man, right now. Still for a $1 a year. It's incredible. I wish somebody would let them know to turn that off because it's a crime. Well, hey, we're going to catch everybody up on the latest in Auburn recruiting. To help me do that, I've got two of the best that knows what's going on, man. I'm going to bring in Mr. Cole Pinkston, man. How you doing, Big Dog?
I'm doing good, man. I think I got a little bit more sleep last night than I've been getting. So
been a busy week.
Yeah, ready to roll today. Ready to roll.
And as always, looking dapper from South Alabama, Mr. Jhead. Mr. Jhead, how you doing, Big Dog?
I am doing good, brother. I just read your War Room, so I am completely jacked to talk about recruiting today with you boys.
That was surely the good stuff today.
No doubt about it.
Some definitely some new developments with Auburn recruiting, especially the quarterback position. If you haven't read the War Room, that's one of the things you can get for $1. Auburn Live on 3. But what we did say in the War Room is that Auburn has offered 2 new quarterbacks this week, and I thought it was interesting because Auburn picked up Adrian Posse, the 2024 quarterback, since our last show at Big Cat. Adrian Posse, the 4-star quarterback from Miami in the 2024 class. We heard some rumblings early on that Auburn might pass on the 23 guy and take 2 in 2024. But this week's actions lead me to believe that no longer is at least the hope or the plan. Now, that might be something they fall back on later, but it looks like Auburn is going after a 2023 guy. We all know Brock Glenn was the guy early on, the top target. Looked like he was going to commit there early in the summer, late spring. He didn't. Florida State got involved. Ohio State got involved. There was a lot of quarterback dominoes going on back then. And with the Baylor kid and where he was going to go, Ohio State thought they were going to get him. What was his name? Norzad?
Novosad.
Yeah.
Novosad.
When Ohio State didn't get him to flip from Baylor, they went after Brock Glenn, and that was pretty much all she wrote on that. After that, it was kind of quiet. We didn't hear much quarterback noise from Auburn. We knew they were kind of keeping an eye on things. Keith Niebuhr had posted a couple of names 2 months ago, and I think on this show, Jhead, Cole both mentioned these guys' names, which was Miami quarterback commitment Emory Williams from Milton, Florida, and J.J. Cole from Ankeny, Iowa, who is committed to Iowa State, son of Jamie Cole's kicking camp. Auburn offered both of those guys this week, and I wrote in the War Room, J.J. Cole, if Matt Campbell, if they implode or Matt Campbell leaves, and I still think, it's like the kid, his father played at Iowa State, played quarterback at Iowa State. He's from Iowa, and it looks like a long shot. But Auburn was like, hey, man, keep us in mind if something happens. Now, it's a different story with Emory Williams, who lives 3 hours from Auburn, probably 45 minutes from Jhead. He's committed to Miami, but so is Jaden Rashada, the 4-star quarterback from, I think he's from up north somewhere, isn't he?
California, Pittsburgh,
Yeah, California.
Same difference, man. So you've got a 2-quarterback class with a guy like Emory Williams, and I talked to somebody close to Williams last night. He was very excited about the offer. Would be honored, is what I was told, to visit Auburn. Miami is keeping an eye on him. Matter of fact, I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen him tweet out the offer. But I think in the coming days we'll see that change and get some more intel on him. But Jhead, your thoughts on the 2 new quarterbacks, 2 new quarterback offers?
Well, both were guys that competed in the Elite 11 finals. Both are very tall, strong-armed, pro-style type quarterbacks that fit. And we've talked about this over and over again, that the guys that we recruit all seem to do the same thing, right? They all fit that same mold that Harsin and Keesaw love in their quarterbacks. Tough, big arm, run pro-style offenses in high school that have the ability to stretch the field, okay? I haven't watched as much of Cole's tape, to be completely honest, just because in my mind, I've kind of written him off as a extreme long shot. And this is not a knock towards the Auburn staff, but when you see the ties to the Iowa State program that he has, you just understand that Matt Campbell's been recruiting this kid for 3 years. They have an extremely strong bond. The legacy tie from his father being an All-American kicker there at Iowa State, it's just going to be a hard flip. I mean, it truly is. Williams, on the other hand, I've done my research on, and we've been talking about him on this show for the last 2 months as somebody we thought they could turn to. The other quarterback that we also talked about was Jackson Smolik, who's now decommitted from Tulane, but is likely headed to Penn State. But talking about Williams, he's raw, guys, but he's got as much potential as anybody in this class. Big, big arm, mobile.
6'4", 190.
Yeah, has kind of a three-quarter delivery. And you see that change contingent on the pocket, as far as what he's working around. You see a guy that's still developing as far as his pocket presence goes, but love his upside. I mean, I think he is a legit big-time Power 5 quarterback that, if developed correctly, could be a guy that could come in and be extremely productive in the SEC.
Cole, have you watched any film on him?
Yeah, I've seen a few clips. Just his size in general. I mean, that's almost exactly what Zach Calzada was coming out of high school. That 6'4", 190.
Damn, is Calzada that big?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, well, he's about 210 now, but he was 190 coming out
But
of high
he's
school.
that tall.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Jarrett Stidham.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can
Pretty
see
close,
that.
too. Stidham had some, he had a little bit more weight on him, I think, too. But, yeah, I mean, he brings a little bit more mobility like maybe Jarrett Stidham did. He had a few rushing touchdowns at Auburn. So, Emory Williams, though, man, he's a guy like we talked about for a while. I mean, it didn't seem like he was going to stick with Miami after that whole NIL deal that Rashada got there, and it's like two quarterbacks.
Forgot about that.
With that, I mean, it's like, man, he's got to be looking around, right? So, we thought Auburn might jump in there, and it looks like they have. And, from your report, he's interested. And I think just bringing another at one time we thought maybe a quarterback wouldn't happen in this 23 class after Glenn, and you were going after Aaron Nolan and Posse in the next class. But at the same time, you got to remember recruiting momentum is so important right now. You got to find it where it lies, and that might be in getting a quarterback in and having that guy help build your class, because all these good classes start with a good quarterback too. So, and a flip for Miami, that would be big as well. Both of those things would help, bolster your class, I think.
And in the day and age of the transfer portal, you almost have to take layered depth every year at each position, because you don't know from year to year who's going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So to not take a quarterback is a huge gamble. I think taking a high school quarterback, if you can find a guy that's Power 5 quality and talent, you take them, you develop them, and then you let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think the days of let's hold off here because we have this guy and all this, that might be over. I think you just kind of let it work itself out. If you see somebody out there that's worth taking, you take them, and then let the chips fall where they may. And that's kind of the way it goes. The transfer portal kind of works things out because guys will leave, you guys will come in, that kind of thing. So I don't think you leave a spot open. Of course, that happened on the last cycle, but maybe they're trying to, reiterate that on this cycle and push it a little further and see what they can find. So
it goes to your roster management. And that's a word that gets thrown around a lot. You used to never hear that in college because you knew a guy was going to be there for 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5 because they were going to redshirt. With the one-time transfer rule, and even that potentially going away where guys can transfer multiple times, that's on the horizon. You're looking at it from an NFL standpoint. And when you bring in your general manager from the NFL who's got a lot of experience with roster management, that probably helps you in the determination to say, you know what, there's a quality 5 guy sitting there that's 3 within our regional footprint, that's 3 hours away. Let's take a closer look. Let's give him an offer. Let's get him on campus and see if we don't like him.
Yeah, I think it's a great offer. I think it's well timed, to be honest with you, man. You went all in on Brock Glenn.
Yeah.
you went on in on Brock Glenn. You missed out. That's just the situation you're in at Auburn right now. You're not going to beat out Ohio State. Not, for most of the guys, I should say.
Right.
So you reevaluate your board. Auburn's been keeping a close eye on this guy for a couple of months now, as have we. And then you decide to go ahead and pull the trigger, and it's an offer worth tracking. I don't view the Cole offer more than just I'm not going to be keeping an eye on him when he shows up on campus. Then maybe, right? But I talked to him, and I don't even think that's going to happen at this point. But they were very respectful, man. Jamie Cole loves it at Auburn. He's had many kickers from Auburn come into his camp. Several. It seems like every good kicker that I've ever covered that signed with Auburn went to Cole's kicking camp. So he's been to Auburn. He told me 15 to 20 times. Him and JJ came to the Iron Bowl a couple of years ago. So there is a lot of respect for the Auburn program. But at this time, I just don't see that happening and evolving into anything more than an offer and a story. Williams, however, this is something that I'm going to track. Going to be keeping an eye on Twitter, man. I'm going to see how he handles this offer. See how he announces it. I know Miami would rather him retweet a coach, like his head coach. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Like his head coach should go, "Hey, Auburn offered our quarterback today," and then him retweet it. Mm-hmm. I don't think Mario Cristobal wants his quarterback commitments tweeting out new offers. So keep an eye on that. But I really think Emory Williams will be in Auburn at some point this fall, maybe twice. And I put him as, and I think we all agree, I mean, almost by default, he's the most likely quarterback to sign in this 2023 class.
Agreed.
Fair.
As of right now, 100%.
Look, when you got one quarterback in your class that's getting a $10 million deal and the other one you probably signed for peanuts,
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a little bit of a discrepancy there, right?
Yeah. Six-pack of Zima. I tell you what, man, another interesting thing this weekend as far as recruiting goes, I talked to Will Friend. The assistant coaches were made available to the media pretty much one time a year. And it was this week, sat down with Will Friend. And after all the beat guys had asked their questions, I wanted to kind of get into the recruiting side of things, especially for the offensive line, because it's absolutely the most important position for Auburn in this class. Should be the largest group quantity wise. And Auburn has missed out on a lot of guys so far this summer. A lot of top targets have gone elsewhere. And it's been an issue, especially with fans. You've got Braden Joyner committed, but he's been committed since January the 1st. He's an Auburn guy. Not really much of a win there, although he could be a great player. Not much of a perceptional win there, at least. So Will Friend said, "Hey, listen, we're going to sign a big class, at least 5 more. At least 5 more. We're going to sign them high school. We're going to sign JUCO guys. We're going to sign transfer portal guys with the amount." Because he was talking about his senior-laden offensive line, his older guys, how experienced this line is. And I was like, you know what? That's good and bad. The good is you've got a senior-laden offensive line. The bad is that you got to replace all those guys next year. And I think, Jhead, you're a roster management guy. The depth chart at Auburn on the offensive line is – where's the heavy part at? Is it as far as class-wise goes? Once these guys leave this week, do they have a lot of younger guys moving up the depth chart, or is it middle-tier guys like Garner? They're the redshirt freshmen, I guess.
So you're looking at probably redshirt sophomores. You've got a decent contingent of those in Tate Johnson, Avery Jernigan. Beyond that, you've got Garner Langlow, and Kobe Smith.
Yeah.
That's your big offensive tackle. And then you took Eston Harris.
Yeah.
Those are your 5 guys that you guaranteed have left on the roster. There's the off chance that you've got a guy that's a redshirt junior this year in Keandre Jones that could turn pro, in addition to the 6 seniors that you have on this offensive line.
Shit.
You also have 2 guys in Jaleel
Urban.
And then our big Cam Stutz, who's potentially going to be your starter at left guard, who also could leave after the season. Now, they have an extra year that they can tap into should they choose to. They have that 6th year that was granted due to COVID. So you do have the potential to retain those 2. But
And Keandre Jones is a junior, but he may test the NFL waters. We'll see what happens there.
that's what I'm saying. So, you've got a lot in flux. So you got 5 guarantees coming back, maybe 3 more guys that can come back.
You got 5 guarantees. That's it.
5 guarantees. Beyond
we've got 1 level of depth chart coming back. Are you serious?
I'm positive. Yeah, I'm dead serious, Jeffrey. I'm dead serious. Now, like I said, you could tap in and have another 3. You know what I mean? You could have Andre, you could have Cam, you could have Jaleel Urban. So that gives you 8 guys coming back guaranteed.
Best case scenario, you still can't fill out a 2 deep.
No, you cannot fill out a 2 deep with what we have returning.
Unless you're counting, like Court Bradley and Thomas Kirkham and Evan Richards.
I'm talking scholarship guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Court could be a guy that goes on scholarship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I think there's the potential for that because he was a 3-star coming out of high school that, to my knowledge, has played very well since he got there. They think they've got something. But that's not a guy you want to bank on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like I said, you've got 1 commitment. And you're going to need layered depth in this class. You hit the nail on the head. You're going to have to hit all 3 levels of transfer portal, junior college, and high school. And if it were me, this is not Will Friend talking. This is not Brian Harsin talking. This is not Eric Keesaw talking. This is Jhead talking. I'm taking 4 guys from high school. I'm taking 2 guys from junior college, and I'm taking another 2 from the portal. And that's if you're going to get those 3 back that we're talking about. If they don't return, well, you're obviously going to have to take even more. You're talking about taking potentially 10 guys in this offensive line class. Florida State just did something similar this past year to get their numbers up. It's just where we are right now. Unfortunately, this staff was not able to bring in some young guys last year beyond Eston. They got a great one in Eston Harris, but they weren't able to bring any young guys in beyond that. And the roster management prior to their arrival was awful across the offensive line. And I don't want to bang the drum on Gus or JB Grimes or anybody else. These are all quality people. But the management of the offensive line prior to the staff's arrival was an absolute mess. And so now they're left with cleaning this up and making sure that we have layered depth moving forward so you're not having to take massive classes of prospects. Let's pray it's 8, not 10. That's just kind of where I'm at with it.
I think Will was being very conservative with those numbers, and I'm like you, man. If you've got at best 8 guys coming back, 7 at least, right? You want to get 15 scholarship guys.
Yeah, I almost go 3 to 4 in the portal, just because the possibilities of losing some of these starters right now, like Cam Stutz, like Keandre Jones, if they don't come back, you're losing, Troxel and Brahms and those guys. 3 to 4, I'm thinking in the portal. Yeah, JUCO guys are important to that matter. You could get JUCO guys in and get them to play, but these portal guys, if you can find some good experience, that might be your best bet. And a couple freshmen as well. I don't know how many exactly. I haven't decided on that, just from my point of view.
Well, obviously, they're being a lot more selective with high school guys than I thought. We've seen them be more selective than I thought they would be with such a large class. And Will said that you want guys that you can develop.
Mm-hmm.
You want guys that can come in and push for starting time. You want guys that can come in and push to be on that starting 2 deep and battle. And I think he's talking about high school guys to develop, JUCO guys to fill that 2 deep with, and transfer portal guys to come in and start. So you're either looking at a large group of transfer portal guys. Because I say that only because the high school guys, it seems like there hasn't been a huge push for several of these guys. And some of them Auburn has just missed out on. Stanton Ramil, Michigan. I mean, Michigan State has come into Alabama and Florida and taken 2 offensive tackles, or maybe Whedon is kind of a swing guy. Mm-hmm. Clay Whedon from Florida, Carroll Day, maybe from Tampa, who, man, looked like he was ready to commit to Auburn, and then it didn't seem like Auburn made a big push for him. They're still recruiting him and I might have him in the class if I were to do a projection.
Right.
And Jaffrard is another guy. I went back and read up on Jaffrard. Jaffrard left Auburn official visit just raving about Auburn. There's a top of my list. I'm not going to make a decision until December. Shit, man. 10 days later, he's committed to Arkansas.
Yeah, right.
I don't think a big push was made there. Bison Lang is another guy who could end up at a big Power 5 school that Auburn has yet to make a really big push for. And Will Friend said, listen, we feel good about a lot of – he didn't say with that. He said we're in with a lot of guys.
Yep.
So they know a lot more than I do, or at least it seems to me that way. I think most Auburn fans, with the lack of offensive line depth in the future, most Auburn fans, the majority of which post on the corner, the guys that post on the corner, would like to go ahead and see a foundation for this class other than Braden Joyner. They would like to see a tackle committed, regardless if he's a developmental guy or not. A swing guy committed. That if you had Clay Whedon committed right now, if you had, I don't know the circumstances with Jaffrard, but I don't think Auburn pushed hard for him. You had those two guys committed, maybe a Bison Lane committed. I think the tone amongst Auburn fans, at least the ones that post, would be a lot different.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
I think when you're entering the season, when you're entering fall camp and likely the first game of the year with one center committed in a class that could go up to 10,
yeah,
there's a lot of angst, especially with the recent history with Gus and his lack of ability to sign offensive linemen. It's like, man, we need somebody else who can come in here and sign offensive linemen. You get Brian Harsin in a pro offense, much more friendly to offensive linemen. And you're thinking, man, let's get some numbers at least, right? And it just hasn't happened. I asked Will Friend about, do you think that February failed coup had some things to do with it? And he answered it exactly like I would if I was his PR guy. He didn't address it directly. He said, we're going to continue to recruit. He gave a good, honest answer. He didn't say, yes, man, that's really hurt us. Didn't give any excuses. So very curious to see what happens on offensive line, and we'll be following that closely, man. That's number one on my list as far as what our subscribers want to know about.
Well, Jeffrey, let me say this before we move on from that. Talking to Zach Etheridge in the roundtable yesterday, he's got a lot of say in recruiting with every position, it seems like. So he made the point on Craig McDonald, which was somebody they went and got kind of later, from Iowa State. When they were looking at the portal, they were looking at guys who had played the most snaps, okay? Before they even looked at tape, they wanted to know the snap count. How many snaps have you played in a college football game, He had the most of all the DBs they were looking at the time. Then they turned on the tape. He's what we're looking for. Let's go for him. So I'm wondering.
Good insight there.
Well, the reason I say that with offensive line in regards to offensive line recruiting, it looks like, with a lot of these positions, defensive line, corner and safety, they brought in these guys that could come in and give an immediate impact. Mm-hmm. And I just think that maybe from the old roster, they like the guys they have, but they maybe don't trust every, evaluation that was made before they got there. So they want to make their own evaluations, their own. I know this guy's played a lot of college football, and I just have a feeling that's the way this offensive line class may go after the portal concludes for this coming year. That's my thought listening to that.
Now, and this is what I will say when it comes to portal recruiting. Offensive line is a premium position. The best guys that enter the portal, they go quick.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody wants an offensive tackle. Everybody wants a veteran offensive line.
Even the Alabamas and Georgias, man.
Right. Alabama took a veteran offensive tackle that we recruited in Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt this year because of deficiencies that they had on the offensive line and busted projections from years prior.
Yes, they had to. They were having trouble at both tackle spots, for the record.
For guys that are saying, hey, screw going to JC to find guys, you cannot wait, if you're in Auburn's position, to just solely depend on the portal. You are going to have to take layered depth of guys that are going to be coming in as sophomores and juniors that can also play in that 2 deep, like Jeffrey just said. That's why I'm not saying 3 to 4 from the portal. I think it's closer to 2, just because of who you're going to be competing against. If you can get 3 from the portal, fantastic. But the competition is going to be so stiff in offensive line recruiting that you're going to have to nail down 4 to 5 high school, 2 JUCO, and a couple portal guys. It just, there's no other way around it. And one guy that we didn't talk about in high school that's still available that we are on extremely hard, Januris Wilson.
Yeah,
he was in my group of 5 3-stars. I got 3-star guys I love today. I think he fits his versatility where he's a swing. He could play guard. He could play tackle. So it gives you flexibility throughout your class. But he's a guy that we're going to ramp things up with. I guarantee it. And he's somebody that we're going to continue to stay on. I do feel like, and look, I love Ian Jaffrard. I think he's a guy we can go get, specifically if we get him back on campus for that Arkansas game. I don't think we're solely out of it for DJ Chester. I think he's definitely going a different direction, but we're not out of it by any means.
He's taking his time, where he's sort of approaching it the old school way and saying, this may be my favorite team right now, but I'm not going to go as far as to commit right now. I'm going to make sure I review all of my options and wait until December. At least that's what he's saying,
Right.
So
he's taking his time. Look, big game to get him back for LSU. That's who's seen as the top competition for him right now.
Yeah.
Get him back for the LSU game and let him see the difference in between the two. And then Auburn be able to sell their immediate playing time.
And you could look at DJ Chester too. I'm sorry, Jhead, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're good, man.
You can look at him and go, oh, he's uncommitted. There's more of a chance there. Well, there's a lot of guys that are committed that, let's just say DJ Chester's favoring LSU right now.
Right.
Well, he may be favoring LSU more than some of these guys committed to certain schools are favoring their school.
Yeah, they're just holding the spot, 100%.
Right. That's just the way it is right now. It is a business all the way through, this recruiting thing. So, getting these guys on campus for these games, how many guys did we see emerge last year that were like, at this point, we didn't really know much about? They came to games and then they started to become a big target. I think Camden Brown, the guy that's been killing it in fall camp practice, was a guy that was not being talked about at all at this point. Yeah, he had a good camp performance, but Auburn wasn't pushing for him at that time.
Quickly forgot about.
Yeah. Quickly. Jadarian Rhyme, Austin Osbury. Those guys weren't even on the list, that we were talking about preseason. Keontae Scott.
Marcus Gilbert.
Jeffrey Imba. There goes to your junior college, and Keith nailed it when he talked about it. I want to give the GOAT his due. You mean the other GOAT? We got one of them on the show. We got the other one that's
Cole.
No. Learning. Mine is learning from the GOATs. That's what
I trust me. Look, I'm beneath you there, Cole. I'm somewhere towards the bottom, the swamp monster. But anyway, Keith talked about junior college recruiting and how you're going to evaluate during the season. Those mid-season evaluations are going to be crucial when it comes to junior college, because you don't want to just jump a guy that you've never seen play.
Sure.
That's the quickest way to bust on an evaluation, is to, oh, hey, I like what I saw in a camp. You mean when I went to see a junior college prospect in March? All right.
Yeah.
Good luck to you on that one.
Went to see a practice and like what I saw.
Yeah. I'm going to pass on that.
I'm trying to – there is a junior college. I've texted Keith. I'm trying to get that name. I can't remember. Jhead, you might know it. Cole. There's a JUCO. I think he's from Mississippi. I'll have it before the end of the show. I think the problem with the portal this past year, what fans are complaining about, and it's valid, is that Auburn saved too many spots for the transfer portal and then wasn't able – just like you said, Jhead, they are high in demand. And Auburn didn't get those guys and ended up with several empty spots and didn't fill them. And I think that's where the angst is coming from this year. It's like, hey, let's go ahead and get some of these high school guys committed. But you know what? If they feel good about they can flip Clay Whedon, if they feel good that they can get in Jaffrard if they want him, if they feel good that their LSU is going to implode or have a 5-6 win season, like we talked about on the call-in show. I think Vegas has them at 5.5 over and under. With DJ Chester, with some of these guys, it's not, like I said, the foundation would be nice to have, but lot to happen there.
Yeah,
lot can happen there.
And look, I don't think we're done with Connor Lew. I honestly don't believe we're done there. The proximity to home plays in our favor. There are other factors that play in our favor. Now, yes, we're going to have to get smart on how we recruit that one, and we're going to have to change some things. But that's a guy that we're not out of it for. I don't buy that for a second.
Right. I agree. And curious to see. I'm going to lay low on him for a minute.
Yeah,
I'm going to kind of let it play out with him. But I absolutely would not cross him off the list yet.
No, not yet.
The offensive line being number one on offense, the number one need on defense, it looks like the edge.
Yes. Yeah.
Edge position. Just like the offensive line, Auburn is going to lose everyone but Dylan Brooks. I think Joko Willis, if you want to count him.
No.
Okay, good. Rock didn't either. Rock Bellantoni, I talked to him yesterday in the at the round table, and Rock was telling me that he wants 4 edges. They've got 2 committed, although Wilkie did not, and maybe could play the 5. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kobe Wooden 5.
Strong side defense.
Hell, he might can move inside to the 3. But they've got 2 committed right now, 2 edge guys committed, and Wilkie Denard and Ashley Williams, which we talked about. That's the foundation. That's the foundation you're looking for in a big class. That's the foundation that the offensive line class doesn't have right now.
Yes.
Edge has got the foundation. It was huge. Right. 2 of them. I think both of them committed since our last show. We haven't done it. We didn't do a show last week, but Ashley Williams flipped from Nebraska. Wilkie Denard, who a lot of folks thought Florida State was going to get. Hell, even Florida State thought they were going to get him the day before.
Yeah.
Auburn ended up getting him. Rock Bellantoni, I'm telling you, this guy is first of all, he's an awesome dude. Yes. Fantastic to talk to. Love him, man. He's just he's just the uncle that everybody needs. And but people can see that genuine and honest, and he's straightforward, and he's got a track record, man. He was telling me yesterday, I mean, he wasn't bragging. I was asking him kind of what's his pitch, and he's like, man, I've been fortunate enough to have talent to have 10 or 11 guys go to the NFL from under me. I'm hoping that I'm going to have 2 more after this year go. Yep. And that's although I don't have a lot of SEC experience on my resume, I do have getting talent to the NFL, and that's what these kids want. That's what Quay Russo wants.
Yes,
Ruben Bain wants. Go ahead, Cole. You got something?
Yeah, I've been around him at practice these past few days, and he's a technician, man. A guy like Eku Leota, who I'm watching in the team drills, is physically, whooping the tackles. Right? He's making it hard on the quarterbacks to make a play because he's such a good pass rusher. And then you get over in drills, you expect that guy to be used as an example to the younger guys, but no, he's making him reload reps. Hey, that wasn't the right hand placement, dude. Yeah. He's that kind of stuff. That's part of the fundamentals, yes, but he uses Derek Hall as an example sometimes. He uses Eku Leota because they're the older guys. They're the proven guys, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. But they get the same treatment as everybody else, and you saw they went to bat for him on Twitter last night. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Oh yeah,
both tweeted out, love Coach Rock, because somebody, I think it was Jeff Shearer, posted from that round table, just them talking about how good Derek Hall and Eku were, and he's having to find things to coach them up on because they are doing so well. So they were like, man, love this guy, that kind of thing. So it's just been interesting on that regard.
And a veteran edge and special teams coach. You're talking about a guy he played defensive line himself in college. So understands some of those things that come into play just from that aspect alone. But the difference between him and Burt Watts, while I have the highest regard for Coach Watts, he had never coached edge players a day in his life prior to getting to Auburn. He had coached in the secondary, and he had coached the true stand-up linebacker positions. Rock is a guy that completely understands that position. He knows how to coach it. He knows what to get out of it. He knows what he's looking for on the recruiting trail. Like Jeffrey said, because this show is focused on recruiting, let's dovetail into that. He hit a baseline that everybody should aspire to hit. If your baseline is 4-star blue chip talent, that is where you want to be. And he's got 3 or 4 other high-end prospects on the board, and we've talked about it here in Quay Russo, Keldrick Falk, Ruben Bain, A guy like Joseph Mupoy, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, boy.
And then the guy that's, God, I always forget his name, that's committed to Georgia. I know that we're
Gabriel Harris.
Gabe Harris. Now, I don't like us so much there right now. But those other four, we're squarely in contention for. And look, I've watched tape on every one of these guys. Quay Russaw is, without doubt, he's the alpha dog. He is just –
He's the standard.
he's a freak show, okay? He is a day one plug-and-play starter, contributor in the SEC. But beyond Joseph Mupoy is no slouch. You don't see guys that big, that long, that fast, that can convert speed to power and do the things that he can. And a guy that's only been playing football for 2 years. And Rock found that kid before a lot of people did. That goes to his evaluation. So I'm extremely high on what we're doing on edge. I like that we've got that baseline talent that you talked about. And I'm interested to see not only how we can close in high school recruiting, but when you put guys like Derek, like Echo Leota in the NFL draft, and they're high round guys, you're talking second, maybe first, third round guys. How attractive are you in the transfer portal at that point for edge players that are trying to do the exact same thing? So high school guys, guess what, brother? Rock Bellantoni's going to have a pitch to sell in the transfer portal.
It's the same reason they were unattractive at edge in the transfer portal, because guys like Odua Isabor from UCLA was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing a lot of snaps for myself with those guys there.
Where did he end up?
Cal.
Yeah.
Ended
Right
up at
down
Cal.
the road.
Moving back off. Well, hold on. Let's move inside. We talked about Jamarian Harkless, I think, on the call-in show, former Illinois commitment.
Yeah.
He's a big defensive lineman from up that way. Kentucky, okay.
Douglasville, Kentucky, I think.
And Jimmy Brumbaugh has some history there in Kentucky, does he not?
Yes, sir. He was the defensive line coach for Mark Stoops for 3 seasons, I think, 3 or 4.
So you've got Jimmy Brumbaugh recruiting this kid. I think it was, I don't know who tweeted it out, but I think there was a visit set up already to
Ole Miss.
And then Auburn was certainly mentioned as in the process of setting up a visit.
That's correct.
With Harkless. I think he's a 3-star guy.
He is. He's a high-end 3-star guy that's a true nose tackle. An absolute true nose tackle. You're talking somebody 6'4", 300 plus right now in high school. Now, I see him more like Jason Jones. He's not a guy that's going to necessarily be your pass rush specialist by any means.
Okay.
He's a guy that can 2-gap and take up blocks and allow those linebackers to roll and play free and tee off on running backs. Okay. He's built for that. He's very much like a Nietzsche Sledge from last year, where he fits a niche for us, a mold of what we're looking for on that defensive line, specifically in that position. And I think it's a fantastic evaluation if we can land him. But like you said, the competition is going to be stiff. It's Ole Miss, Louisville, Georgia's also interested. We're in the mix.
Michigan.
Those are probably your top 5 right now. So it's not like he's a slouch that, we're going to beat Florida Atlantic for. This is a guy that, has got legitimate Power 5 offers, SEC offers, and SEC interest from other schools.
The top guy on the board inside, at least, is going to be James Smith. We all agree on that. 5-star James Smith, Quay Russaw's teammate at Carver in Montgomery. Both of those guys are going to come out with a top 5 or 6. I think 6 now that they're going to include Alabama State. I think they're going to include Alabama State. But they're going to come out with the top 6 this afternoon. Auburn will make the cut. We talked about them earlier in the week, but both of those guys very interested in Auburn, took official visits to Auburn, been to Auburn several times, came back in the spring, returned for the official visit. They didn't go to Big Cat. They went to Florida.
Yeah, yes, Florida. They went to Florida. Friday Night Lights.
Zach Etheridge, big in their recruitment. They're at Madhouse, Rock Bellantoni with Quay Russaw. Jimmy Brumbaugh with James Smith, but both of those guys are going to look. It's going to take NIL. It's going to take winning. It's going to take a little combination of everything to get those guys signed. And you got Kelby Collins, you got Tamarian Parker, you've got Hunter Osborne, all these in-state defensive linemen headed out of state as of now, right?
Yes,
presumably.
Well, Hunter Osborne's going to Alabama, but beyond him,
who's the guy who committed to Florida?
Kelby Collins, right? Didn't he just commit to Florida, or is he just on the verge of committing?
Maybe trending that way.
Yeah, okay. Trending that way.
And Tamarian Parker's the same way, right?
Well, he just decommitted from Penn State.
Yeah.
but
So he's open right now, but yeah.
I don't see him landing at Alabama. That's for sure.
No.
So if Alabama's losing out on those guys, you got to think they're going to go all in on James. Well, they're going to go all in on James Smith, anyways. We saw it last year with Perry Kid,
Curtis Perry. Yeah.
Curtis Perry, right? You saw it last year with Curtis Perry. Alabama making a late move with him. I mean, a lot of people thought he was coming to Auburn, and didn't. So you know Alabama's going to be heavily involved. You know it's going to take winning.
Yes.
It's going to take money. It's going to take incentives, the NIL. It's going to take it all to get these guys. I hope, for Auburn's sake, that Auburn is ready to go all in on those guys with NIL. I hope the collectives are ready to front up. We talked about this on the call-in show. If I'm the NIL guy or whatever, I got two positions right now that I'm throwing the book at NIL, and that's both sides of the line of scrimmage.
So I've got a nugget for you. I did double back with somebody that's more familiar with our NIL situation than most, and they did say we will not get beat. Those are the two that you can guarantee we will not get beat on money. Now, we may get beat in other facets of that recruitment.
There you go.
But money will be there for those two.
What's your highest over? Because ours is $1 more.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
You got to get that guy. Moving back on defense, we're going to look at the linebackers, where I talked to Christian Robinson yesterday as well about linebacker recruiting. Auburn has missed out on a lot of linebackers, and people were complaining. I'm like, look, Christian Robinson didn't just forget how to recruit. I mean, he's one of the top 25 recruiters year in and year out. Has been giving Auburn fits.
Yes,
giving Travis Williams fits, and has missed out on Lewis Carter. He's missed out on C.J. Allen. He's missed out on several others. Still in the game with those guys, but unable to get them to commit. Who was the other one? But we'll come back to the other ones. Who was
Osbury? Did you say Osbury?
Jaden Osbury? Yes, thank you. Yes, Jaden Osbury, man, huge misses. But he's got guys ready to go. He's got Marcelius Pulliam coming in for the
Penn State game.
Is he the Penn State game?
Yeah, and then Alex Sanford for Arkansas.
Alex Sanford. There you go. There you go. There you
Arkansas.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. Man, drawing a blank there.
Where's he coming for? Wasn't he coming from Missouri game? Possibly.
No, he's coming to Arkansas because he's committed to Arkansas.
Not him. Pulliam.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was Penn State.
Hey, Keith just chimed in. It's Elijah Felipe. Is the junior college offensive lineman that Auburn's recruiting. Keith's going to talk to him this weekend, have an update on him. But back to the linebackers, I think Christian Robinson said he wants at least two.
Yeah.
Of course, just like any position coach, I'll take as many as they'll let me. I'd love to have more.
Sure.
But right now, the two slot is at linebacker. He wants one of each. Wants an inside guy and an outside guy. I think Pulliam is your inside guy, Sanford being your outside guy. Is that right, Cole?
I think Sanford told me, Mike,
that's right.
Yep. They're both kind of bigger guys, sort of downhill players. So probably both inside, if I had to guess.
Those two are the guys right now I would be watching out for. But don't forget about these guys committed elsewhere. Moving back on the defensive backs, probably going to be a big class. Expecting big news for Auburn today from Jaquarius Hart, Lochapoka cornerback. Dude, I went and watched him practice yesterday. And, I mean, dude, Lochapoka. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I've covered 1A football in high school. I was the beat guy, man, for Randolph County. I covered Wadley. I covered Terrell Zachary, Terrence Wilkes. I covered Woodland.
Didn't you cover Roanoke?
Hanley, when they were 4A back in the day. That was before D.D. Phillips, right before D.D. Phillips. And Day, I should say. Yeah. And so I've been to Lochapoka. I've seen the 1A programs, and you walk out there. You walk out there and you go, I don't need a number. That's him.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's 6'2", he's 180. He runs a sub 4.4. I mean, if you're drawing out an NFL quarterback, those are your measurables you're starting with, right? 6'2", 180, 4.37.
Yeah, that's it.
When you saw him, Jeff,
and a 4.0 GPA?
Yeah. And taking classes already at Auburn.
Done deal. He is the guy. And he's such a good kid, man. He is the guy. I tell you what, I've talked to him, man. Travon Reed. is huge for him. And
Yeah.
it dates back to before his 9th grade year. Travon Reed at the time was in the NFL playing cornerback. He comes to a Lochapoka practice. For what reason, I have no idea. I don't know if he was with somebody that was down there watching, but
Destiny.
But Travon watched this kid as a 9th grader, goes up to him after practice and goes, "Man, I will work with you during the summer. I see something in you." So for the next 2 summers, while Travon was in the NFL, and I think in the last summer was NFL free agency, Travon's working with this kid. So there's a relationship that goes back 3 years.
I think stems through Jeff Klein, the former head coach there at Lochapoka, former Auburn quarterback. I think he used to have a couple of Auburn guys come and attend practice.
Jeff Klein. Well, I tell you what, I remember him. I don't know if y'all saw his high school. This was back when I used to watch this was what, 20 years ago, Jeff Klein?
Yeah.
He had a rocket arm.
Yeah, he did.
He had a rocket arm. I thought he was going to be the next big thing at Auburn. I really did. It was his dad was like a legendary high school coach.
Correct.
I didn't know Jeff Klein was at Lochapoka, but there you go. Let me go. So Travon Reed and J.C. Hart have this relationship that goes back. Now, obviously, when Travon starts working at Auburn, you can't work with the guys one-on-one during the summer. So that came to a halt, but their relationship just evolved from there. And, here's Travon recruiting him 2 years later to Auburn. How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's almost, what you call it, serendipitous, I guess is how you would phrase it, for that to happen in that way.
Yeah. It's funny.
When you watched him, Jeffrey, now look, I've debated this. I've watched the kid's highlight reel, and because he lines up in so many different positions, it's hard for me to project where he's going to be. Do you think he's a corner, a safety, a nickel? What do you think? Or just he's a DB and you take him and it doesn't matter?
I think ideally you'd want to keep him at cornerback. Now, hell, I don't know. That's probably more for Cole. But when I look at, listen, this is what I saw from my amateur eyes. I saw an SEC cornerback, an NFL cornerback, 6'2", 180, practicing with a 1A school.
Yeah, right.
He was playing wide receiver. He was lining up at cornerback. Cole, I think he can play cornerback.
Yeah, I think he can too. And just from talking to Zach again yesterday, I talked to him. I was with him for like 20 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
And he made the comment, look, all of our corners play nickel. Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, with that linebacker experience and being able to, sift through traffic and make plays all over the field, maybe nickel is a good fit for him early on until he works into that corner spot. With the corner room looks pretty good at this moment and pretty good for the future too. So if he comes in, maybe nickel is somewhere he gets some early work and then works at the corner too. And he'd probably do both.
Zach obviously likes the taller guys, right? I mean, that's why we're not seeing
big guys in general, just big.
Ethan Nation. Hell, man, I was at practice yesterday. Justin had told me this over the phone earlier in the week about is it Nehemiah? No, it wasn't Nehemiah. It was Zion Puckett. God bless America, dude. He looks like a fucking linebacker, man.
Yeah, he does.
227 on the roster.
He is thick.
Still one of the fastest guys out there, by the way.
I don't know. He looks like Travis Williams did. He might be bigger than Travis Williams when in 04.
Look,
I middle linebacker.
I had a coach that knows Puckett that I talked to and told me that right now, when he saw him recently, he looks like Sean Taylor from the Miami Hurricane days. That's what he looks like. Now, who knows what he'll play like? But when you see him in person, he is every bit. I mean, they say he looks like Sean Taylor, and that he probably is going to hit some people like Sean Taylor this season too.
Yeah, he's got the weight and the speed, the velocity with that weight to hurt somebody. I'm telling you,
man.
I think Jaleel Hurley's still in the mix there at Auburn. He's committed to Alabama. Contemplated flipping. I know that because I had my story ready. And picture, by the way, and picture. But that's definitely. I would be shocked if he didn't come back to Auburn during the season. Maybe incognito.
He came to what, 3-4 games last year?
Yeah, he was there. Zach pushing hard for him. Alabama is absolutely aware. Alabama is absolutely worried, or at least mildly concerned, that there is that long-standing relationship with Zach Etheridge and Jaleel Hurley. Some other cornerback or other defensive backs, the safety, Cedric Hawkins from Cocoa Beach. He's committed to Ohio State. He came for an official visit back in June. This is a guy who's going to say, I love Ohio State. I'm locked into Ohio State. Keep an eye on this kid. He is definitely a flip watch guy. Two other guys moving to offense. Anybody else I'm forgetting defensive back?
Tyree Sugar Hill and from Illinois, and then Colton Hood from Georgia.
Yeah, Colton Hood, yeah.
Colton Hood.
That's one I would definitely watch. Obviously, he's a legacy to Auburn.
Did he just get offered?
He did.
Yeah,
right?
he did. He got the offer.
And somebody that I'm definitely watching. I don't know that he's a take in the moment, but as the season plays out, if he continues to show what he showed in his junior season, comes to campus, meets with the staff, I think he could become a take relatively quickly. He's got some really good film from what I've seen.
Are you talking about Colton?
Yes.
Okay. Colton Hood. I think he's a bigger guy too, although Roderick was very small.
Yeah, he was only like 5'10"?
Yeah. Damn, that boy could play though.
Yeah, he could.
Oh,
Walk
man.
Walk on at Auburn.
Was he from Columbus?
Yes.
Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, he was one of my favorite players, man. I used to love watching him ball. Yeah, he was a damn good player. Did he go to the NFL?
Yeah.
Played for the Eagles.
Yeah, several years, man.
Yeah.
You had Roderick Hood on one side and Carlos Rogers on the other.
That was 04?
I think that was 03.
Okay, that's what I think. Yeah.
I think in 04, I can't remember who was opposite of Carlos, but in 03, Roderick was the other guy.
Was it Monte Pitts?
Yeah, it was Pitts before his rap career started.
Yeah. DJ Pitts.
We got Colton Hood listed at 5'11", 175.
So that's probably in cleats.
By the way, he goes to Eagles Landing in McDonough, Georgia.
With DJ Chester.
Is it DJ Chester?
Yes.
Yeah, and when Zachariah Owens was there as well.
Yep.
Correct. Pretty good team, huh?
Pretty decent.
Maybe that opens the door with those guys later on. If you push for Hood and get him and that kind of thing. Just trying to make some piece together some things here.
We're talking about Cedric Hawkins being committed, Jaleel Hurley being committed, a couple of guys on the other side of the ball. Moving to offense now, we talked about the offensive line, but we talked about quarterback. Running back's kind of up in the air right now. I think it's a wait and see. I think Auburn's got their guy. They got that foundation, right? Now they can be more selective and try to get a second running back if they want. And I get the feeling they do. Will Kai Preem be that guy? Will they look at him? Will they look at somebody else, maybe an in-state guy, a couple of guys in Georgia to keep an eye on? But as far as committed to other schools, the tight end, wrote about Brett Norfleet today in the War Room. He's kind of like J.J. Cole in that he is committed to in-state Missouri. He's from Missouri. He's committed to Missouri. He's been committed to Missouri for almost a year now. I think since November of last year he's been committed. But Brad Bedell's, he refuses to throw in the towel. He's got a good relationship with the kid and the family. You're going to try to get him down for an official visit. Right now, I think it's locked in for the Missouri game of all games. So I guess, hey, at least he's visiting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Cole. Holler at me when he shows up. Well, this kid's planning to show up.
Yep.
So he's at least worth mentioning. Some other tight ends, of course, Jelani Thurman is committed to Ohio State. I just feel like Auburn's fading with those guys, the Langston Hughes crew. And listen, they're not giving in. They got connections there, so who knows what can happen.
Right.
We forgot to mention Josh Horton on the defensive line.
We did, and I'm with you. You mentioned taking a step back on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously trending to North Carolina right now. Who knows what happens later on in the season? Is he somebody that we can double back on and try to get back on campus? I just don't know right now. I'm with you, Jeffrey. I feel like the package deal is out the window on those guys. Can we get – obviously we've got Terrence Love. Keep him committed. Can you get a Josh Horton? I think that would be great if you could. I'm not going to predict that at this point.
So Hughley, the four-star offensive tackle, is committed to Georgia. Seems to be playing both Auburn and Georgia. But Auburn's okay with him playing if that's what he wants to do for now. We'll play it out and see how it shakes. And going back to the quarterback, and this is I was hesitant to mention this, but I feel like I'm just putting together puzzle pieces here, man. I'm speculating like hell. Auburn wanted Brock Glenn in the 23 class. When they didn't get him, you didn't hear anything else. And you heard more chatter about 2 in 2024 being Adrian Posse and Air Nolan. Now, since then, Auburn has decided to take, or I'm guessing they've decided to take just one, because Air Nolan, I feel like, would have been committed if Auburn wanted 2 in the 2024 class. So you take 1 in 2024 and you go, okay, since we're not going to take 2, let's get back in the mix on these 2023 guys. And I think that's what we've seen in the last week. So you take 1 in 23, you take Emory Williams if you can in 23, you take Adrian Posse in 2024, and your quarterback board's set.
Yep.
You got Holden Garner in 2022, your quarterback board is set for the next 3 years. Running back, we talked about tight end, wide receiver. Had a little note on Keon Brown today. Oklahoma commitment from Rickards and Tallahassee, Rickards, however the hell you pronounce it. Man, he was kind of a roller coaster for me, man. I remember covering this back in May. You know, he was coming for an official visit the first weekend in June. Auburn had just offered him the last week in May, 6'3", 190, big kid. And then, like, very last moment, you know, he's like, hey, I'm not coming. And he ends up going to – and he was like, oh, I still love Auburn, man. I'm still going to visit. It's not because I don't have any interest. Well, then he goes to Oklahoma that weekend and commits a few days later.
Right.
Auburn stays on him, has stayed on him. Commitments don't mean shit these days, especially in June, July. Doesn't mean a damn thing. It's not like they're going to – any school is going to say, oh, my bad, I'll leave you alone. I'll respect your commitment. No. So Keon Brown, talked to him. He is still hearing from Auburn. He is still listening. He is still planning to visit. I think he's a guy that would be tough to get him from Oklahoma. I mean, most commitments to Oklahoma are pretty tough to get away from, but he's from Florida. He's from Tallahassee. He's a lot closer to home here at Auburn. And if Auburn can show him something, he's one of those guys where if Auburn can show him something, if Auburn can make that noise this year, get him on campus. He's eyeing the Penn State game. You never know what can happen. Carmelo English is already in the boat, the 4-star wide receiver from Central Phoenix City. Want some outside guys, want some taller guys. Well, Cole and I talked about this. I think we talked about it on the show earlier this week. I went out to practice yesterday, and it was like slot receivers everywhere.
Yep.
And that's where the Kai Preen comes in. He's another slot receiver. He's another Carmelo English, basically, as far as size goes. So got to get some big guys. Got to get some Xavion Capers, right?
Yeah.
Got to get some outside guys, some 50-50 ball guys.
Some Camden Browns.
Some Keon Browns.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a guy at the wide receiver position to keep an eye on. Some other outside wide receivers. I think Auburn's probably going to take 2 more, maybe 3 to 4.
I got them taking just 1 more. I think.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 2. I was going to say 1 to 2 more.
Yeah, I would say 2.
Okay.
2 total is probably the number.
Yeah,
you got to have an outside guy.
I think with the numbers that you've got in the wide receiver room right now, and then the numbers that you need at offensive line and edge, you know, I mean, you've only got so many numbers to play with as far as that's concerned. Even though you're able to go to the 85, you're still a little bit hamstrung in what you can take. So I think 2 total in both. And look, Carmelo can play outside. He won it because of his vertical. Mm-hmm. He can 100% play outside. But you're
Absolutely
right. They want a bigger 6'2" to 6'4" wide receiver on the outside. You mentioned Keon Brown. DeQuavius Soria is another guy. And then the big kid from Arizona, Cole, I know you followed in on that.
Lane. Jacoby Lane, yeah.
They love that kid. Now, Division Street, which is Oregon's NIL / Phil Knight's NIL collective, dude, good luck on matching what they're going to offer a kid.
Yeah.
You know, but we're recruiting him 100%. I think we're in the mix, and hopefully we get him on campus for an OB.
I think there's another kid down in South Florida. He's committed to Miami. The name escapes me now because I haven't paid much attention to him yet. I think he's like a 5-star. I mean, he's either a high 4.
Hold on, I'll tell you who it is.
He's a guy I would not be surprised to see. Now, flipping him from Miami with a big NIL deal is a long shot here, but he's certainly a guy worth mentioning. I think might visit. It's a pretty common last name.
It's not Nathaniel Joseph. No,
he might not be committed to Miami. He might be.
I know they've got Santana Fleming that's supposed to be.
Santana Fleming is another.
You're talking about Jalen Brown, I think.
Jalen Brown. There you go.
He's committed to LSU, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, he is. Him and Shelton Sampson. They just got those two guys on board.
So definitely flipping a guy from LSU, in my opinion, is a lot more likely than flipping a hometown guy from Miami. Where's he from, Cole? Jalen Brown? Is he South
from
Florida?
that Miami area.
Yeah, there you go. That's him. So there's a couple of guys.
Gulliver Prep in Miami.
But, wide receiver is another position. We talk about that foundation, man. You got Carmelo English in, which was huge for Ike Hilliard. Huge, man. What a pull. I was impressed because Auburn doesn't usually get those guys.
Well, he had written us off when Corn, unfortunately, last season, when things went sideways, and unfortunately, Cornelius Williams was no longer a coach on our staff. That recruitment was done.
Over.
Ike changed all that.
Yeah, that was big.
With one conversation, changed all that.
Came in for I'll never forget. We chased him down the parking lot and chased him down. I was like, "Hey, come here." But he had just left that first meeting with Ike Hilliard, man, and you could just see the body language on him and his eyes, and he was so impressed with what he had just witnessed and what he had just heard from Ike Hilliard. That he was like, "That's the guy." And he didn't say that, but you could. That's what his body language. That's the guy I want coaching me. I want that guy to coach me.
Yep.
So big developments there at quarterback. Going to keep an eye on the offensive line. Certainly going to have some updates on that. We got Jaquarius Hart making his commitment this afternoon. Lots going on, man. Auburn will likely have 7 going in to the season. I don't see anybody else at this time, but hell, you never know. But at this time, I would say I don't see anybody else making a decision that would influence Auburn's class before, when's the first game? September 3rd?
Yes.
September 3rd. I don't see that happening. I'm going to be keeping an eye on who comes in for visits over the next couple of weeks, who's setting up visits. There's going to be a lot of August is the month of setting up official visits, and that's going to tell a lot on whether or not Auburn has a chance with a guy. If a guy sets up an official visit to Auburn, regardless of where he's committed, there's a damn chance. Yeah. So be keeping an eye on that, man. We've had 2 weeks worth of the corner, one of which I was gone. So I'm a little behind, but I do have me some how about yous. And I tell you what, they don't have to come from the corner, do they, Jhead?
No, they do not. No, they do. Some they can come from the Twitterverse. Because I got a how about you for Brian Harsin for taking a nice shot at Kentucky. For those that don't know, and my Dingleberry of the week is John Calipari. For making comments about Kentucky being a basketball school. True or not?
All right. True or not?
True or not, you didn't need to take a shot at Mark Stoops, who's done a fantastic job there. But he did. And so Brian Harsin, in all of his infinite wisdom, came together, took a picture with Bruce Pearl, tweeted it out, and said, all everything school. Gave Bruce the Cruton finger, showed the unified support, loved it. To come off of Shirtgate and the shot that he took at some of the nice writers from over there at AL.com. And their Hatgate situation from last year. Yes, Justin Lee and Joe Goodman. I'm talking about you.
Ooh. Oh. And you know what? BP, I don't think is a big fan of Calipari.
There ain't no love lost there, man.
So there was kind of 2 little jabs in that picture. That was Bruce also saying, we're in everything school here.
That's right.
but the thing with Calipari is it was cringe as hell, man. See, I'm not a boomer memes. I say stuff like, excuse me, it was cringe AF. was Mark Stoops.
Low key,
yeah. Mark Stoops coming back publicly on Twitter and saying like, WTF, big dog.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I just won. What do you say? 4 postseason wins in the last 4 years. Mark Stoops was saying, what are you talking about, big dog?
Pretty much.
I mean,
can you imagine like Bruce Pearl saying that, and then Brian Harsin going, what are you talking about, man? I mean, that's cringe, man. It was so That was very.
I mean,
awkward.
what do you do if you're Stoops? Do you just let it go, or do you defend it? Or I mean, I'm not sure.
I probably don't address it publicly.
Maybe don't. Yeah, I mean,
No, but in my next meeting, when all the head coaches are there, and when they're meeting with the athletic department, please know that I'm going to let Calipari know when you stop getting knocked out of the round of 32, then you can talk about basketball school.
If I'm Stoops, I probably go, hey, you're right, but we're trying to change that or something like. We're trying to make this an everything school. I would have taken the high road,
and I'm sure
publicly.
Yeah.
But that was a little. I will say this: big how about you to Brian Harsin, who won the Barrett Sally, who would win in a fight amongst SEC head coaches.
Oh,
he was number 1.
Yeah, I might would take him too.
Hell yeah, I would have.
Pittman? I guess Sam's got some age on him, right?
Sam, he's got that.
Yeah, he was. I think he was in the top 8, but he had Clark Lee.
Okay, former Vanderbilt fullback.
Stoops was in the top 4.
I ain't buying that one, but all right.
Where was Jimbo at? I gotta know.
Oh, Jimbo and all of his 5'6", What I mean?
Well, he talks a big game. That's why
Here we go. Brian Harsin, Clark Lee, Mark Stoops, Kirby Smart, Billy Napier. There's your top 5.
Yeah.
Shane Beamer, Sam Pittman, Lane Kiffin, Eli was way too high. Eli wasn't even Flottaswy. Flottaswy. Oh, Flottaswy. Josh Heupel is number 10. Jimbo's at 11, who is one spot above Nick Saban.
Wow.
Hey, look, man, you put those West Virginia guys together.
The geriatric battle of the year.
The Nick versus the Hick. I like
Brian Kelly at 13 and the hippie Mike Leach at 14.
Oh, I don't know. Mike Leach might be surprising.
You think Leach will get in there and swing his sword a little bit?
Leach is. I would have Eli the last. I don't think Eli would. Seriously, he's not aggressive. He wouldn't fight anybody.
No, I'm with you. I would have had Eli 14, Nick 13, Jimbo 12. That I would have put all those from a size standpoint only. I'm putting all those guys together.
But I think Brian Harsin's an easy number 1 for me.
Yeah, I'm with you though on Sam Pittman. He might be tough.
Look, he's got that old man strength, right?
He's top 3. Clark Lee, I'm okay with that. I'd probably have Pittman at 3.
Yeah, I'm not trying to wrestle Sam Pittman, dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's that old granddad you wrestle in the backyard and just get pinned and like, wow, damn, man.
Yeah, right.
He's got OG offensive line strength.
Yeah.
That's
it. Man, I'm not doing that.
So we've got, how about you? This is Brian Harsin. 2 of them, Brian Harsin.
Yeah.
I'm giving the how about you to Bruce. You got anybody else there, Jhead?
No, that was it this week. I think we've had a lot of great posts on the corner, so I didn't want to recognize anyone and not recognize everyone. But you guys keep posting, keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, there's some members that are a little bit discontent, and understandably so. But those of you that are putting out that positive information, that are taking a measured view of things, keep doing what you're doing.
Good stuff. Cole, how about yourself, buddy?
Yeah, I got Shacker Jack.
Oh, Shacker, also known as Shaker.
Also known as Shaker. I like to go with Shacker. That's his OG name. So
I hear you.
And Bobby Sweatpants.
Oh, Bobby.
I think Bobby's been I've understood his humor better this week. I'll put it that way. Don't always understand his humor. I was with it this week though.
I'm kind of with you on. I've got a Dingleberry, but I'm going to defend this Dingleberry in a little bit. All right, I got a. How about you to BBP? How about you to Auburn Hooper? How about you to JLED? JLED. JLED. Here's a funny story, man. I met a woman one time. I guess she was a big computer nerd. This is a true story. She named her children LED, like LED, and Pixel.
Oh man!
If that's not the most millennium thing I've ever heard,
yep,
that's something like Auburn memes would do. Ooh. I'm swinging, big dog.
He's not giving up on memes.
How about you to J Sing 2219? How about you to Be Easy AU, who was our 1,000 subscriber on YouTube?
Huh.
We made a push for the 1,000. Be Easy even got an alert that he was the 1,000 subscriber.
Really?
Appreciate you, Be Easy. And hell, while I'm at it, go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
There you go. Click and subscribe.
Click and subscribe. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
There you go.
Auburn Live. I don't know. I think that's what it is.
Notification.
And one of the funnier posts of the past week was AU Accountant 55. Big happy about this. So it was right after TJ had gotten his ticket for not wearing a helmet or whatever, and first day in pads or whatever in practice. And AU Accountant said, "Did TJ at least have his helmet on today?" I thought it was funny. How about you that big at phone? At phone was contemplating not moving on, just not re-upping, and quickly changed his mind. And big hat about you to phone for sticking with us, man. We got a new subscriber, several new subscribers, but this guy was a new poster. AU Tigers 368. Appreciate you, man. Welcome to the family. Dingleberries of the week. Didn't have any female dogs, man. I was too busy.
There you go.
I was hit and miss with the board. I was trying to do my best. School started back this week. The damn bus got canceled the day before school started. The bus got canceled. Brooks has never ridden the bus. We've always walked or rode our bikes. But he was gonna get to ride the bus this year. He was fired up, man. 6th grade. The day before first day of school, you've had 90 days. You had 3 months to get this all worked out. And the day before the school starts, the damn bus driver resigns. Or at least that's what I was told. How the hell you resign the day before school? Either way, so been kind of hectic. Practice is starting, recruiting is still going on. But Dingleberries of the week. This one, Palmo Steaklanese. I think I said that right.
That's how I say it.
Okay. Palmo Steaklanese. But I think it is Palmo Steaklanese. The only reason I say this, Dingleberry, is he was complaining about Bruce Pearl.
Oh, come on, man.
He was complaining about Bruce Pearl. I mean, come on, dude. That's as bad as an Alabama fan complaining about Nick Saban.
Just trust that things are going to play out okay. All right.
Can you imagine thinking that you know more about basketball than Bruce Pearl? So much so that, and listen, I encourage discourse, but come on now, Bruce Pearl.
I think he's earned the trust just a hair.
And I think he was complaining about undisciplined play, and Bruce just allowing it. And I'm like, well, you know what? I think he's okay. He'll be all right. Obviously, Dingleberry of the week, Kemosabe, although he's coming along. Dingleberry of the week, also he's becoming a regular here. TaylorMade 2.
Oh.
But I will say this. Don't get me wrong. Now, 80% of the time he's a Dingleberry. 80% of the time. He had a post the other day, and it was a national perception of Auburn. And it was the has-beens, I think. And he just linked the article, and it was these guys used to be, national contenders, and they're slipping or slotted.
It's schemes. I mean, it was teams not to be scared of anymore. I think
there you go. And Auburn was one of them. And he didn't say, we suck or anything. He just posted it. And he got a lot of hate because typically that's what he posts.
He's looking for that stuff.
He likes to troll a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a little unfair. I didn't have a problem with it. Of course, now his body of work seems to support the people going after him, which is why I allowed that too. But 20% of the time, he's okay. So I don't know. That might be too high. 1 out of 5. I'd probably say 1 out of 10. So 90% of the time, he's a Dingleberry. 10% of the time, he's okay. He's not. He's not a great poster, but he's not a Dingleberry. And that's all I've got, man. That's all I've got this week. Oh, man, of course. I forgot. Dingleberry of the week. Auburn memes.
I was waiting on that. I was wondering if you were going to bring him back into that.
Auburn memes. Auburn memes. Dingleberry of the week. Not bad, though. I'll back off of him after that. I think we're even now. Brandy. She had the receipts the other night on Twitter. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't call him a boomer. She was like, here you go. She got him. Good stuff. So big hat about you to Brandy. Big hat about you to Brandy. All right, folks. Was that it? My goodness. 1 hour and 15 minutes. It's almost Sunday.
Yeah.
Hey, but I will say this: look for this weekend. I've got the Q&A with Christian Robinson on linebacker recruiting. I've got a Q&A with Rock Bellantoni on the edge recruiting. Says some really interesting things. Both of those guys are awesome, awesome to read, awesome to listen to, awesome to interview. So keep an eye out for those guys for that. Keith's going to have some updates on that Mississippi JUCO offensive lineman. He's also on the road next week, going to have some really good insight and some guys committed elsewhere. And of course, Jaquarius Hart will be announcing his commitment Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time. We all feel like Auburn's going to be in the mix to the end for that. We feel like they're the pick for Jaquarius Hart, which would be great pickup. If you're not a member of Auburn Live on 3, like I said, man, at the beginning of the show, this is the perfect time. Still got that $1 a year, $1 for a freaking year, man. I think it's like 8 cents a month, $8 cents a month for a year. And you'll get your money's worth the instant you click on the website. So Auburn Live on 3, get a year for $1, man. We appreciate everybody. Look for us on the call-in show Tuesday night as well. We'd love to have some calls. We've been having a great audience and great calls, great questions and comments. Look for us on YouTube Tuesday night. Appreciate everybody. Thanks again, man, for Jhead, for Cole, for Zach McKinnell there in the back. I'm Jeffrey Lee. We appreciate you, man. Stay out of the left lane. See you.